from New York, correct?
Yes, I'm from Brooklyn. I was
Oh, okay.
yeah, I was raised in Brownsville, from
Brownsville.
Steplow Projects, and I lived there till about like about maybe like 12, 13, probably like 1995, 96, and then we
No.
moved out. Mom rented an apartment. Moved to like a nice area at that time, it was like Canarsie. We stayed there. I'll say a short period of time, maybe like a year and a half, 2 years, and then my mom purchased a home back in East New York, like 5 blocks away from my projects. And I
Oh, okay.
half in Brownsville, little time in Canarsie, and half, my life in East New York. That's where I'm from, and that's where I still reside. Even though I've like moved around, I've got
Got you.
where I was young. I lived in Chicago for about 2 years, LA for a
Oh,
year.
really?
Yeah, really, when I had the opportunity, just when you're young and you got a little bit of freedom, um,
Yes.
I went out to move and just
Right.
experience
Just
and see
experience. Right. Yeah.
different
Just
things.
explore. Right.
But at
But you've been in Brooklyn for you've been in Brooklyn for throughout your life. Like all your life, you've been in Brooklyn.
Yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, there's no place like home. That's the conclusion I came to, especially when you talk about New York accessibility. Anything you want to get into, any type of whether it's a hobby, a profession, a network, a community, you can find it here. So a lot of the things that I was into most of my life and all my life, I mean, I was able to connect with people in other places, but I don't know. I'm just like a city kid. I grew up, as early as I could, jump on the bus, ride the train, get out of, my environment and move and be in different places around different people. That was very easy to do being in New York City. And then when I went to like different cities, like I said, I would always find my way around to like, people around the things that I like to do, around the people that do the things I like to do. But it was a little less accessible.
Got you.
Yeah.
Mhm. Yeah, but so I'm gonna get more into that because I do want to explore that, the accessibility and how you worked your way around those networks. So I definitely want to get into that, Tone. But before that, I want to get more into your background, your upbringing. I mean, you from Brooklyn, I'm from the Bronx. So we are familiar, like you say, Brownsville. I was raised in Morris Heights. I don't know if how familiar you are with the Bronx. I was raised in Morris Heights most of my life. So we kind of get we have a lot of a multipod, going on where we
Yes.
were from. Was exposed to so many different walks, so many different cultures, so many
Right.
different backgrounds and belief systems, right?
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah.
you said you was in the projects, you came from that atmosphere. So where did it start with you? You said was your mom a single mom? Was it a two-parent household, siblings, a house full of cousins like mine was, where you had to put your name on stuff and and not make sure nobody eats the last of this and make sure go to school on time, and like how was that for you?
Well, my mom had me when she was a little older. There was like a large gap between my siblings and I. So even though
Oh.
I'm the last of four, I was pretty much raised somewhat like an only child, and my siblings.
They were already
Um,
older.
yeah, my closest brother to me, I believe, is like 21, 22 years older than me. So
Wow, wow, oh yeah, you sound like a oops baby. Were you a oops baby?
kinda, yeah. And my mom,
I'm,
she
I'm just messing with you, Tony. I know.
started really young with them, and I think it was a different upbringing. She was young and single, and they struggle a lot. And I mean, I listen, like I was raised in the project, so it wasn't like we went through our stuff too. But I think by the time my mom had me, she already was, as I was going to kindergarten. She was entering back into college and working towards her master's and elevating her.
Nice.
So it's kind of like, even though it was like obviously she's my mom, I'm her son. There's a big age gap. It's kind of like we were kind of like going through a similar process and learning and you know
Yes.
and elevating and developing.
True.
And I was there to be able to see my mom taking those steps. And I learned a lot. I learned a lot from that because the product of her going to school and the purpose of her going to school, she was already setting a career, but it was necessary for her to be able to advance and elevate, which was already waiting for her. They just told her like, you need a degree and then you can move from doing this to this. And so I saw my mom, advance herself. How do you say, like, academically, which then she applied into her career path and professionally. And I guess I saw how that kind of like translated, and it taught me a lot about, you know, learning, education, the importance of it, um, discipline, work ethic,
Yes, yes,
consistency, and how to deal with people. Because at the end of the day, my mom, her being a boss or whatever, had to deal with a bunch of different type of personalities and people and manage, work.
yes.
So I experienced a lot of that and learned, you know, very early what those things were, and not really at the time understanding, but later how I would apply those type of skills into, what I do.
Got you. And so I see that, she set the example. So I want to go back to that because that is so commendable, that story that you gave about your mom. That was really commendable because just being just judging by that age gap, was it a point where when your mom decided to advance in her education in order for her to advance in her profession? So your siblings the ones that helped in raising you as well? Were you spoiled?
No, I don't think I was spoiled. I think they would think so, based on them being together and being raised together and having to, like you said, share things and write your name on things, or maybe there not be
Hmm.
enough,
Hmm.
the situation. So maybe I think they would think I was spoiled, but I don't think I was, because I think of the way my mom raised me. Uh, it was always like work first, then play, and you have to earn things. So um in the home there was always that kind of that mentality and that ideology. So I mean, I was very young. Just, I remember just being like my first job. I was 12 years old. I wandered off on the Pickens Avenue and just looking
Hmm.
at all the stores, asking people if there was work. I mean, obviously I'm too young, but I did get me a job at a pizzeria with scooping ices. So
So what made you decide? What made you think? Well, I mean, at that age, at 12 years old, what made you feel like you had to? Did you feel like you had to do it or you wanted to? Like, what made you had the desire to decide to want to work? It's, well, you were still in school at the time, I hope.
yeah, of course, 12. I was 12,
Okay. Yeah,
but
12. Yeah. But
but
no, I mean, 12, you know how it is, Tone. They kids skip school. But yeah, I was just that's what I'm asking. Like, what made you feel like you had to work at that time?
I grew up in the crack era, and
Mm-hmm.
you know, even though it's like it was like we were okay, but we lived in a very urban and impoverished place. Came from, but then there was also this other, you know, end of the spectrum and dynamic of where you see, especially like men, you know,
Yes.
men, nice clothes, jewelry, cars.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't really understand uh what all of that came out of and came from. But
Yes.
I would think to myself, like, like, how does one get, like, achieve these type of things? Because these things that caught my attention as a child, as a kid, like, oh wow, you know, um, and I just think to myself, like, wow. So I guess it's like, you have to work, you have to make money, and that's what makes you a
Who
man,
taught you
or
that?
like a
But how did you
no.
come up with that conclusion?
It was just instinctual. Was you see that you
Oh,
see that
okay.
you see the guys with the money, they
Right.
surround women, they wearing jewelry shining, drive a nice car. The car is nice and shiny. The paint is new.
Mm-hmm.
Clothes look good. The shoes look good. It's a name brand. It's, people around them. They may even be having money, flashing money, and then you go to the store and it's like mom say, no, I want that sneaker. And it's like, no, you could get this one, you
Got
know?
you.
Um, and then my mom tell me, oh, you could get that when you work, you know?
Got you.
Get anything you want when you work for it. So I got the idea fast in my head that I need to work to earn money. And yeah, I just tried my best to do that as soon as I thought about that.
All right. So you said that your first job was you said you was serving ices at the pizzeria?
But niceties at the pizzeria.
Wow. Oh, those ices, boy.
That
Yes.
got electrocuted.
What happened? What?
Well, I don't know. The refrigerator went out. I went to go check the outlet. I was like playing with the plug, and it exploded. I got electrocuted. They were like trying to wake me up. Pizza owner, shop owner was like, "Yo, listen, kid." I'm like, "Yo, I'm gonna come back tomorrow." He's like, "Nah, don't worry about it." He pulled some money out the register. Just get
Like, yeah, yeah, no, that gets your last day, no, because you're a liability now. You
back.
became a liability. You
I,
can't be.
felt so bad. I almost cried, and I went and
Oh,
I told my mom, I was like, "Yo, they told me not to come back to the pizzeria. I think I got fired." You know. Um, And then my mom hired me in the office to like do some paperwork or something like that. To
and now
shred.
when was that? What age was that?
Same age. It was
Same age?
yeah. It was probably like a month, maybe a little over a month working in the pizzeria.
Okay, okay. Oh, okay. And so now, just so now you starting to build your resume at age of 12. So you said you started working with your mom, and so you continue to follow the examples of your mom and those around you that earned their keep, they earned their way, and they got their hustle on in different ways. So you
Right.
kind of learned to develop that. So how was it like balancing that in between school? Because we're talking about elementary, junior high. Like, how was that? How was you managing in school?
Yeah, school for me was real easy. You
It was
know,
easy.
yeah, like very easy.
How
Like
so?
like just I don't know. I was that's just some.
You was a good student.
Yeah, I can't question it or I can't tell you why. I just
Hmm.
maybe it's my tendency to just like pay attention to things, and
Okay.
I stay involved. So like that, I think that's one thing that kind of helped me. I stay involved in the class. Like I didn't always maybe do my homework or like study the most, but I always like be involved in discussions. So I'd ask questions. Whenever the teacher would say something, oh well, why is it like this, or what does this mean? So I stay active like that, and I
Okay.
would help me recall things in my memory. So when I took the test, because I would have a certain instance where I have a conversation with the teacher and he spoke to me directly, I'd be able to like know most of the information. And school was very simple. I was very aware and conscious.
Oh, so were you involved in any extracurricular activities? Were you popular in school at that time, like junior high, elementary?
Now I was the clown.
He was a clown. Okay.
I used to like to joke
Hmm.
around and laugh around too. Because I guess like school was so easy. I get bored.
Got you.
Yeah, I get bored.
He wasn't challenged enough.
Yeah, and that allowed me to you know divert energy into other places.
Got you. And what was the other places?
Just like creative stuff. Like I didn't have to worry about studying too much. Um, so I would really put my focus on the things that interest me.
Like,
Music. Like my brothers, they was DJs, both of them from the '70s. So when I was born, there was always music in the house, the records, equipment. Learning how to use those things and uh, connect and plug those things in. What this does, this, and what does what that does, and you know.
Okay. Tone just went out. I don't know. He must have a phone call. So let me just talk to y'all until he comes back. He might have had a phone call or something. But yeah, this is I'm enjoying this so far. This is really, relatable to me, being I'm from, New York City as well. So it's great to hear about his story so far and how he decided at an early age that he wanted to earn his way and he wanted to kind of get more of a grasp on the reality of having to work to get what you want or having to work to just make ends and to understanding um, the end justifying the means, so to speak. So we're going to get we're getting more into his how balancing his academics um, and his work. He'll be back. He'll I guess he's going out and coming back in, so he'll be back. So we getting into he's mentioned about how he was able to do get by in schooling because he did pretty well academically to the point where he didn't feel challenged enough because sometimes growing up in the board of ed in the public school system, you know how that could be sometimes where you might some students might be more isolated than others because when you have overcrowded classes or when you have such a teachers have such a workload to where they're not able to get um, a lot of attention to some students than others. So, but I'm just glad that he was able to kind of get through that process, get through that pivotal point in his life to where he was able to balance it and able to excel and do well, and he was able to focus his attention on more positive, creative stuff like music, and not illegal activities. So I do commend him for that. Instead of get into um, certain activities to occupy his time, he used music to do that.